Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of Digital Painting Art Show. My name is Conde, and today we're going to be doing this science fiction soldier. We're going to talk about how the light reacts to the shape, so let's get started. Okay, so first I'm going to clean this drawing that I did in the middle of the week, and basically what I'm doing right now is just tracing lines so I know that the proportions are correct. This is something that you have to do when you have your design like selected, like okay, this is what I'm going to do. So now I just have to clean it to make it look accurate, because some of the proportions are wrong because I did this in paper, and even that I did some corrections on the original one. I end up having a lot of mistakes in terms of perspective and proportions. So I actually also can make some changes, like make it look a little bit cooler. Here I'm tracing this line because I needed to understand exactly what's going on with those shapes in there. I didn't want to start painting without knowing what's actually happening. So this is something a little bit stressful sometimes, but it's something that you definitely have to do. And if you're working on a studio and you have to make this accurate design for modeling, for example, later, you have to be really accurate, because if not, they'll end up doing a lot of interpretation of what your design is, instead of doing what you draw in the first place. So for example, there are these shapes at the size that are like cylinders, and I know that if I draw them, they're not going to be perfect. So what I'm going to do is that I'm going to do them in 3D, because they are actually easy to model. If it was something more difficult, that I wouldn't do it on 3D, but because they are, I will. So right now what I'm doing is also putting more detail, like some stuff that I think is missing. For example, this kind of like division between the mouth part and the glasses part, like where the eyes are going to be. Even that this is a weird helmet, it will be kind of difficult to see ahead inside of that. The part of the eyes, my idea was that it gets up, it opens up like some kind of a visor of I don't know, motorcycle helmet or something like that, and you could open it. So I made that line in the middle, and here I'm just doing some stuff on the shoulders that I think it needs, but also at the same time I'm thinking, are these the right proportions of these pieces, or what's the distance between the neck and the shoulder? Is that correct? No, it's not. So I just move it a little bit, and it's just that, like, you have to see what you're doing and change it constantly, so it looks like it's something that is actually functional or just accurate. It just has to be accurate. So right now what I'm doing is the piece of that's going to be on the sides of the helmet, because I think in terms of drawing them, this is like way easier to be like totally perfect shape, and also in terms of like the material, I wanted to do something really accurate with the material, and just painting them, I know I can do it, but it's going to take a lot of time, and I'm trying to save time, more time that I can. In this industry, the time is really important, and the quality with the time is also important. You cannot do something fast but do it bad. You have to do it good and fast. Some people will argue about how fast should things be done, but I can say that you are way more valuable if you do great stuff faster than other guys that do great stuff slower. and especially if you are doing the same quality that they are doing. I'm not that fast, but the speed is something that comes with the practice. So right now I'm just doing some tests for those guys that do 3D. They know what I'm talking about. So you're doing a lot of tests of the material, how the reflections work and stuff. And right now I'm just putting them there to kind of test if it matched what I wanted, what I had in mind. So now I'm just trying to blend everything, like just putting the shape in there, also in this side, and now I have to do some corrections on the shape of the mask, and you can see how instantly gained a lot of quality in terms of the shape. The shape looks more solid. It doesn't look like a drawing anymore. In some parts it looks like it could actually be some kind of material like plastic or something in the white part, and I haven't even started painting yet. So that's what I think is really valuable when you combine these techniques. So in a few seconds we're going to talk about how the light react to shapes, but first I wanted you to see how I'm trying to match what I have on each side to be the same, and in the center also it should look accurate, like the distances between the things, trying to do as even as possible as I can. And right now I'm just going to start applying some color. I'm going to use multiply to put the color in. I was looking at some pictures of the United Nations soldiers for some reason, not any specific reasons. Just thought it would be cool, and at some point I thought of making it like some kind of like a fireman kind of mask. So I did some red variation. You guys will see that in a few seconds, but this is the one that I like the most. Here I try to do some changes like really quick to see what happened, and here I'm actually trying to make it red, because I thought, okay, if it was a fireman it should be red. We will also need a light, kind of like a lantern on the top of the head maybe. Actually some firemen I think they have a light on the helmet. But yeah, it's like just trying ideas. It's really easy to do it at this moment of the painting, but I'm not actually putting any detail yet. And trying to find the logic also in terms of where all these little joints and points everywhere. Here I had some problems with the proportions of the lenses on the eyes, and then I correct them a little bit. And I want you to notice that here I'm just selecting and changing colors. I'm not doing anything crazy at all. Here I use a little bit of Dodge tool to put some lightness on those reflections, but really quick. Here I went to the back to do this kind of like the back of the helmet. I went to the layer below of everything. Here I'm just using a little bit of Dodge tool to correct all that. So let's explain a bit about the shapes and how the light reacts to them. Okay, so the thing with the shapes is I made these three shapes: the cube, the cylinder, and the sphere. And I put at the left we have matte material, and at the right we have a material with reflections. So this is matte material. I actually don't know how it's written in English, but here I did put reflection on English. I'm a mess. So anyway, I have this sphere, and the thing with the sphere is that instantly you can see that the light reacts to it like a point. like a little, depending of what the material is. It could be a point. The point could be really tiny, or it could be bigger depending on the material. And the reflection, you can see that the reflection curves with the shape of the ball. You can see that on the ball of the Christmas tree. That's the best example I can give you. If you have a Christmas tree ball near you, you can see instantly how the reflection reacts on it. And when you see the cylinder, you can see that it's the same lighting that I'm using. You can see that the point just spreads like a line to the edges. That's what's happening with the cylinder shape. If it was like a not uniform edge, it will be like thicker in some parts, maybe less thick in others, and more thick in others, stuff like that. It will change the diameter, but it will be still like a spread, like a line. Here you can see a better example. Is the same reflection that I have in here is happening in here, but because it's a cylinder, you can see how it reacts. It's kind of like just spreading there in all the cylinder, like lines. And with the cubic or the plane shape, it's just flat. It just spreads out like in every direction. It's also like kind of like a more diffused, more soft kind of lighting that you get when something is plain. Also, if it's too reflective, what you get is like a huge reflection. For example, that little window that you can see in the ball in there, and here in this plain thing will be actually reflected like the same size of the real one, instead of bending everything. This is like what happens with a mirror, basically. So if you take all these things that I just said here and you were to apply them on the soldier, what will happen is that here you will have a cylinder shape. So you can understand this nose part like a cylinder, kind of. So you know that all the parts that are kind of like a square or a cubic, you have to apply what you learn about the cubic or the planar kind of shape. Here is also one plane, but it bends here, so you have to figure out how that looks. It's kind of like an inverted cylinder. And here is also another cylinder, and you can see how it looks when you see the final version. Kind of like little lines here of reflection. So this is kind of like a guide. So you have the cubic shape here, the cubic kind of reflection here, and here will also be kind of like plain, but if the edges are curved, you can do it like lines. You can do the lighting hitting in there could be like little lines, or you could do it plain. Here will be like lines again because of the cylinder shape. And I'm putting two lines because I could have two lights. Here will be really spread, like open lighting, but in the edge could be like little line because of the cylinder shape. So you could have little line in there, but also spread at the same time. What else we could talk about here? So you can see this is the way the light reacts. In this case, for example, it could be like a cylinder also, or maybe kind of like a sphere too. The thing is not just it should bend. The reflection or the lighting should bend the shape of the. You have to kind of imagine if this was 3D shape, what shape will be. And here obviously it's kind of like a sphere, but it bends a little, so it's kind of like between a sphere and a cylinder. You have to figure that out. You have to think and break it down to this kind of basic shapes to see what's going to happen with the light. So I really hope this kind of gives you an idea of how you can paint the highlights when you're doing your paintings. I really hope you can understand it kind of like a guide to understand the highlights. What else can we talk? So here is matte and here is reflection. You can see that you can take a screenshot of this if you want, or you can get it on my Patreon page. It's going to be there with the extra content of this tutorial. So now what we're going to do, we're going to talk about the rendering of this. Not in so much detail, but you can see what's the process of painting it. You can see I already had like a base of really soft lighting going on. You can see that in the plain part at the side of the eyes, I have like a really soft lighting already. Here I'm adding a little bit of texture to it, but it's nothing fancy. It's just making lines to make it look like it has some texture, but it's not anything complicated. You could have used photo texture, of course. They will be way more in tune with what the artists are doing right now. Like in the studios, they use photo texture. Sometimes it looks amazing, but sometimes it's more fun to do it just painting, and it's also really subtle. So that's what I decided to do it right away in there, because I didn't want to do anything too complicated for this tutorial. Even that I do the 3D thing, just so you guys can see the process that I will do it, instead of just trying to make it hard on purpose. And these kind of little things, it looks like it's something kind of like foolish, or like it wouldn't really make the difference, but it does make the difference between what you had before and now. It makes a change when you do stuff like this. Here, these shapes, I didn't want to spend too much time painting these little details, because I want to focus a lot on the mask. But you're gonna just not paint another part of the painting and just concentrate on the one you like the most. So I had to do the details in this part somehow, so it match at least kind of what I have, the amount of detail that I have on the mask. Anyway, I go back here and start putting a little bit more of details, because at the end you have to kind of make it look like it's functional, without over detailing everything. You have to over detail things, but it does have to look like it makes sense. So that's why I put a lot of these little joints and holes everywhere, because that's what I think they will be if it really existed. So now I begin with the speculars, like the highlights, and you can see I already started with some really tiny lines, and I'm doing a lot of different lines, because I imagine that he is on a place with different light sources, like 2 or 3 maybe, so you can see every light in there. Like if I have 2 lights, if I imagine that I have 2 lights on the scene, I have to do 2 spots of highlights. I cannot just do one. And something I want to talk about also is this. I'm just making this darker, and it instantly makes it look more complex. And I'm not doing anything crazy, like adding an extreme amount of detail. I'm just making some kind of like changes, and you'll be amazed of how much detail your painting can gain, and especially if you're doing some stuff like this, like science fiction stuff. by just making a pattern of kind of like a grayscale, or maybe changing something dark, make some parts dark and some parts brighter. Like for example, if you have a mesh design and you take the same design, copy like 3 or 4 times, and you make different schemes of dark and light parts, like doing, for example, you can do the helmet and you can put some dark parts, and then you can do another version with another parts in dark and other parts in light. It will be like, it really does make the difference. You will see that because in the nose that I have in here, I also changed it again. I put a little darker part on it later, and it looks better. It looks like it's more detailed, but it's actually not. Like, the cost for this change is like nothing. It just took you seconds, but the result, it looks way better. You will see. And right here, I'm just cleaning stuff. A lot of the painting, it just looks better when you clean little details. Everyone could see them like mistakes. There actually are mistakes. When you left stuff like that, it's just mistakes. Here I'm putting some signs or decals. This one kind of mean like it could mean like they open up. This part opens up. In here you could see like triangles, maybe meaning that these parts you have like tubes that go in there. And this is what I'm talking you about. I just made this everything dark in another layer, and then I just put some opacity on that layer, and instantly the shape takes another presence. Like, it looks totally different than what it looked before. And here I'm going to add a little bit of highlights so it looks cleaner here and here. Also in this division that where the part breaks, sorry. And scratches, a lot of scratches, to kind of mean that this has been used before, so it's not completely new. Maybe it's clean, but it's not completely new. Here I'm putting some of the color of the background because I want to blend it somehow. It cannot just be pure color and have an orange background, and any of that color of the background is going to hit the shape. That's impossible. So you have to put a little bit of that. And we're about to end this tutorial, so I just want to remind you that if you want to use this concept for a game of yours, you can. And if you are subscribed to my Patreon page, you can get the PSD, the original PSD. Also, you can see an extra video and all the material that I do for it, like the drawing, the little highlights example, the PSD, the original PSD, and an extra video that it doesn't have any of the editing that I do in here. It doesn't have audio though. It doesn't have audio because it's just so you can see the process, and I cannot record again the audio in English and Spanish just for the Patreon thing. But a lot of the people find the value on the PSD because sometimes they compare the results with mine. Like, they just take my drawing and paint and try to follow the same steps and paint it themselves, so they can compare what I got with my results and what you got with yours using my drawing. And you can totally do that. I will just ask you to tag me later in Instagram or Twitter if you had something to show about this that you're doing. But yeah, this is kind of like a Creative Commons thing. You can use this for your project if you want. Just let me know, okay? Let me know I use this from your Patreon page and stuff like that. And I will also promote you, like, okay, this guy used this design that I made and everything. So this is it. This is like the end of this tutorial. I really hope you like it. Right now, I put it here more intense lighting because I thought it was too flat, and then I put it also a little bit of shadow on the other side. I totally forgot about that. I put this shadow on this side because I thought it was too plain, like too flat, and I needed more sense of depth on this painting. So that's what I did, that to separate this part from the other part. Here I put a little bit more of color, but then I erased where the joints of the clothing are, like where they blend together. For the same thing, you know, like I need to see where the light changes from dark to light. And now that's it. This is the ending. I really hope you like this tutorial, guys. So let me know if you can help me with the Patreon. Just do it. There's a link in the description or in the little hand and there at the side, the rock hand with the tablet pencil. You can hit there to get the PSD and full video process and all the extra content that I get to do for that tutorial. And if you don't like the Patreon page, also in the Patreon page I put a lot of other stuff. Well, not a lot, but I will be putting on some other stuff. Also, I'm working on this new project called Velocity, and that my patrons will get 60% discount. Anyway, the other thing is this skin tutorial, which I also talk about the lighting and stuff. But you can see step by step how to paint skin, and it comes with all this palette of colors that are the ones that I created to do the tutorials. So you can actually use the same colors that I did, use the same liner that I did, and you can basically it's like a recipe to paint skin. So if you do the same thing that I did, you will get the same results as you can see them in here. Also, you get to paint a little bit of fur, like beard, and it's a step-by-step video. It's just 2 videos. There's a guide of 20 pages. There is the liners, there is the skin tones, there are other liners, extra liners, so you can practice. There are textures that I made also of freckles and stuff. It's gonna be really fun. So let me know if you want to. No, let me know if you want this. You can get it on the Gumroad page. The link is in the description. Also, the Patreon page is in the description. So, thank you very much. Have a great day.